Hat Mountain, located in the Donglin mountain range, there is a village at the bottom of the mountain. The people are simple and isolated, making a living by cultivating the fields. Early in the morning, in front of the village's main gate, the entire village's townspeople were bidding farewell to a 15 or 16-year-old teenager who was skinny but white and looked well-behaved, and whose clothes, despite being an unusual green shirt, were washed white and wore on the teenager's body, pairing it with the purity of his eyes and revealing a spirit of spirituality. His name was Bai Xiaojun. Folks, I'm going to go cultivate immortality, but I can't let you go. The young man's face was full of reluctance, and his originally well-behaved appearance looked even more pure at the moment. The surrounding townspeople, looking at each other, immediately put on the color of hard to part with. Little Pure, your parents left early. You are a good boy. Don't you want to live a long life? Become an immortal and you can live a long life. Go. The chick grows up. There is always the day to fly out. An old man with white hair came out from within the crowd, and when he said the 3 words good boy, he paused for a moment. When you encounter anything out there, you must persevere, and when you walk out of the village, don't come back, because your path lies ahead. The old man looked kind and patted the teenager's shoulder. Everlasting life. Bai Xiaojun's body shook, his eyes slowly firming up. And under the encouraging gazes of the old man as well as the surrounding townspeople, he nodded his head heavily, glanced deeply at the surrounding townspeople, and turned around to gradually walk out of the village with large strides. Seeing the young man's silhouette far away, the people in the village, one by one, they all got excited. The hard to let go in their eyes was replaced by joy in an instant. That old man who was full of kindness before, at this moment, he was also trembling, with tears streaming down from his eyes. The heavens have eyes. This white rat wolf, he finally left. Who told him to see the immortals in the neighborhood? You have made a great achievement for the village. This white rat wolf is finally willing to leave. Pity my family's several chickens. Just because this white rat wolf is afraid of chicken chirping. I don't know what method instigated a group of children to eat chicken. The whole village's chickens are all eaten clean. It's New Year's Eve today. The sound of cheering immediately boiled over in the not-so-big village. And some people even took out gongs and drums and beat them happily. Outside the village, Bai Xiaojun hadn't even waited to go far before he heard the sounds of gongs and drums, complete with cheers, coming from within the village behind him. Bai Xiaojun's footsteps lurched, his complexion a bit odd, and with a dry cough, accompanied by the gongs and drums coming from his ears, Bai Xiaojun followed the mountain path and walked up to Hat Mountain. This Hat Mountain wasn't very high, but it was overgrown with bushes, and even though it was early in the morning, it looked dark and quiet. I heard Erdog say that when he was being chased by a wild boar here a few days ago, he saw an immortal flying through the sky. Bai Xiaojun was walking up the mountain road, his heart thumping, when suddenly a burst of clattering noises came from the scrub forest on the side, resembling that of a wild boar, and the sound came so suddenly that it made Bai Xiaojun, who was already nervous, suddenly felt a chill run down his back. Who's there? Bai Xiaojun's right hand quickly pulled out 4 axes and 6 wood knives from his traveling bag. And still feeling uneasy, he took out a small black incense from his pocket and held on for dear life. Don't come out. Don't come out. I have an axe. I have a wood chipper. And the incense in my hand can summon heavenly thunder, which can attract immortals to descend. So if you dare to come out, I'll chop you to death. Bai Xiaojun shivered and shouted, rolling and crawling, clutching those weapons and hurrying down the mountain path, clanking and clattering along the way, axes and wood knives falling all over the place. Perhaps he was really scared. Soon the clattering noise disappeared. There are no beasts ran out. Bai Xiaojun pale, wiped the cold sweat, had the heart to give up to continue up the mountain. But the thought of the hands of this incense is his parents died before left him. It is said to be the ancestor had a chance to save a downtrodden immortal. That the immortal left when he left to leave this incense as a reward, had said that will be accepted by the white family lineage of a man as a disciple, as long as the light will come. The immortal will come. So far, he had lit the incense more than a dozen times, and had never seen the immortal arrive, making Bai Xiaochun wonder if the immortal would really come. The reason for his determination this time around was that there wasn't much incense left. And on the other hand, he had heard from people in the village that he had seen an immortal flying through the sky the first few days he had been here. That's why he came, thinking that if he got closer to the immortals, maybe they'd notice. After some hesitation, Bai Xiaochun gritted his teeth and continued. But fortunately this mountain was not very high, and soon he arrived at the top, panting, and stood there, looking down at the village below him with a rather emotional expression, and then looked down at the black incense in his hand, which was only the size of a fingernail cap. It seemed to have been burned many times, and not much of it was left. It's been 3 years. Father and Mother bless me. I must succeed this time. Bai Xiaochun took a deep breath and carefully lit the incense. And immediately the winds rose up all around him. And the sky was even darker in the blink of an eye, with a bolt of lightning streaking across the sky and a deafening roar of thunder exploding directly in Bai Xiaochun's ears. The sound was so loud and the momentum so strong that Bai Xiaochun's body shivered with the feeling that he would be struck by lightning at any moment, and subconsciously wanted to spit on the incense to extinguish it, but struggled to hold it back. 3 years. I point this incense point 12 times. This is the 13th time. This time must endure. Xiaochun is not afraid. Should not be chopped to death. Bai Xiaochun remembered the experience of these 3 years, not counting this time, point 12 times. Each time is such a thunder and lightning. The mortals also did not come. Scared of the original fear of death every time he spit spittle will be extinguished. It is strange. This incense seems extraordinary, but in fact the same is pouring water on the extinction. In Bai Xiaochun's heartbeat here, waiting in the thunder, not far from here in the sky, there is a long rainbow is rapidly whistling. Inside the rainbow was a middle-aged man who was gorgeously dressed and immortal, but was so dusty that, even looking closely, one could see the deep fatigue within his complexion. I'd like to see. What kind of person is it? That it took 3 years to light an incense. Thinking of his experience in these 3 years, the middle-aged man was exasperated. 3 years ago, he noticed someone lighting the incense medicine that he had sent out when he was still condensing cheese, and remembered a favor he had done back then in the mundane world. That is why he flew out to find, originally according to his intention, will soon come back, but did not expect, just searching for the aroma of the past, before waiting for how far, that the scent instantly disappeared, disconnected. If it is a time as just these 3 years, the breath appeared more than 10 times. He has been interrupted many times while searching for it, and has had some headaches going back and forth like this. Looking at the well-behaved, pure and harmless Bai Xiaochun in front of him, and it has become clear that the other party actually has a belly full of bad water. Tell the truth. The middle-aged cultivator glared, his voice like thunder, and Bai Xiaochun shivered in fear. It's not my fault. What kind of crappy incense do you have? Every time you light it, it thunders, and several times it's almost killed me, and I've dodged it 13 times, so it's not easy anymore, Bai Xiaochun said pitifully. The middle-aged cultivator looked at Bai Xiaochun, half speechless. If you're so scared, why did you force yourself to light the incense more than 10 times? The middle-aged cultivator spoke slowly. I'm afraid of dying. Isn't immortality cultivation a way to live forever? And I want to live forever, Bai Xiaochun said accusingly. Once again, the middle-aged cultivator was speechless, but felt that this son's perseverance was commendable, and that throwing him into the sect for some refinement might change his nature a bit. So, with a little thought, he flung his big sleeve and rolled Bai Xiaochun into a long rainbow, heading straight for the sky. Come with me. Where to go? This is too high. Isn't it? Bai Xiaochun said. Seeing that he was flying through the sky with a 10,000-foot abyss below him, and immediately turned pale, axe thrown, and clung to the immortal's thighs in a death grip. The middle-aged cultivator looked at his leg and spoke helplessly. Spirit stream sect.